Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we've got our asteroid base started here. We are currently mining it out at a reasonable rate, actually. Look at that. That's actually going pretty well. Now, one thing to note is that I forgot, apparently, to start my Drill-O-Matic Juniors during that. They are now started, so that's why this is declining at a reasonable rate. So this should be mined out pretty soon. All we have to do now is put a... Hang on. All we have to do now is put a facility supporting at least 10 Kerbals with 3 engineers on the station, and then move it into the correct orbit. Now, we've got a booster here, so that is something we will be doing, whether we achieve the time frame on it or not. However, first we are going to position a satellite in a specific orbit of Val while we're waiting for this to mine out, which will take some time. Although at this rate, not a huge amount of time. I do want to check just to make sure here. Yeah, the heat transference is not doing a thing. So that's okay. We just have very low mining efficiency on this because I didn't put any cooling devices on it. But for right now, let's head on back to the Space Center. Excellent. And we're just gonna put ourselves up a nice little communication satellite. Let's check to make sure that it doesn't need anything special on it. Let's see here. It needs Gravioli accelerometer. We will, I believe, have both of those. So let's check. There we go. Now it's going into the VAB. I clicked it, but it didn't go. Now it is. Okay. Let's get ourselves an Odd One Mark V. There we go. And let's just make sure that we've got ourselves a Gravioli detector and an accelerometer on this thing. Now, this is a Mark V variant, so we do have a Gravioli detector. And there's an accelerometer. Okay. Fantastic. So, we don't even need to build anything. We can just use our standard satellite. Perfect. That's what I like to see. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and launch it. Now, MechJeb should be able to launch this. We haven't had any major problems with MechJeb launches for a while now. So let's just go ahead and do that. Do we have a weak center stage? I think we do. Yeah, we do. So we can't do a time-warped acceleration, unfortunately. But we can just go ahead and have MechJeb do ascent guidance. It's not going to be a big deal. It's just going to be a standard equatorial launch. We're going to skip circularization. That's pretty much it. So off we go. Excellent. We don't need land on here. Okay. MechJeb, how are you rotating this time? It seems to be like quasi-random how it decides to rotate it. Yeah, if you're going that way, that would be fine. Okay, that way's less fine. Yeah, I'd prefer you didn't do it that way. I would prefer that you do it this way. There we go. That's how we want it. Excellent. Okay, so we've got ourselves a nice dawn launch here. There's the sun. Perfect. And up we go. Of course, the trick to getting into orbit, which you should know by now if you've been watching this series for the last almost 100 episodes, is not to go up high, it's to go sideways really fast. Being up high helps, because then you're out of the atmosphere and you don't have drag, but we're already past max Q, so we'll be ditching our fairing here in a little bit. Our apoapsis height is at 33 kilometers right now. Our target orbital altitude for a standard MechJeb launch is 100 kilometers, and that works fine. We're skipping circularization, though. Once we hit space, we just burn pure prograde, and then just escape the Earth. Well, escape Kerbin. Oh, for a second there, I thought it was going to happen. We weren't going to lose a tail fin. Oh well. See, now, MechJeb, now I'm okay with you flying like this. Yeah, look at that. There you go, MechJeb. Excellent. Okay, we're at 40 kilometers. Apoapsis is now officially in space, so that is great. We'll be deploying our fairing manually, since MechJeb doesn't like to do it anymore, for whatever reason. We'll be deploying this manually at 50 kilometers. Right about now. And off goes the fairing. Excellent. That's less weight we have to carry. Now I am noticing that the MechJeb Delta V stats window is not open. It's a wee bit unfortunate. But there we go. Excellent. I should have RCS on to stop this pitch backwards. It was pitching that way. There we go. Perfect. And now we will hit space momentarily. MechJeb should deploy our solar panels automatically. And there they go. Excellent. We'll just lock to prograde, and we're just burning. We don't need to send guidance anymore. However, the maneuver planner is useful. Excellent. And off we go. Now we will, of course, eventually make it into orbit here, doing this, but that's ultimately not the goal. The goal is to break out of Kerbin's gravity, sphere of influence. We are now in orbit-ish. But that's okay. We're never going to hit this periapsis. We're just going to keep on burning. We should be escaping in, what, about 400 delta V? Something along those lines? It won't be too much more anyway. It is exponential, so you'll see this going out faster and faster and faster. And there it goes. Okay, a little further. There. Perfect. Okay, so we are going to be going in this direction. So let's go ahead and warp to, that's a year away. That's 17 days away. So let's go ahead and warp there. So that way we'll be in the sphere of influence of the sun, breaking out of the Kerbin influence. Perfect. And in the meantime, while we are doing that warp, let's go ahead and get ourselves a target on Jool, since this is, of course, a mission to Val, which is a moon of Jool. And as soon as this time warping is done, which it should be done soon, we will be going ahead and matching planes with the target. Which I think I'll go ahead and do manually this time. Hey, look at that. That's actually really convenient. Okay, we just passed it. Okay, that's really inconvenient. I would have loved to have launched a little bit earlier and burn at the descending node. I mean, it's very, very close here, though. We could probably burn here just fine. Let's see here. 0.7, 0.1. We can't really get any closer than that, looks like, but that should be fine. We'll go ahead and execute that node. It's not exactly on the descending node, so it's not quite as efficient as it could be, but it's going to be a lot more time efficient for us than waiting like half a year for the next node. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're only a little bit off of the descending node, so it's not going to be a big deal. And that 0.1 degrees, it's not really going to affect us much. We can always adjust in the Hohmann transfer if necessary. Now, one thing I wouldn't mind doing is seeing if we can find an intercept from the Hohmann transfer itself directly into Val. That would be nice. But we'll see. So first things first. We have now adjusted planes. Am I going to do this manually? I was kind of planning to, I guess. So let's go ahead and see what we can find. So let's push out our apoapsis over here. And what do we got? Ooh, that's actually pretty close. That's actually very close. Wow, I nailed that. Okay. Well, let's focus on Jool and see what we've got right now. Oh, wow. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so we are going for Val, which is here. So ideally, okay, we've got some adjustment to do. So let's go ahead and, oh, that was too much. So let's go ahead and pull this back in a little bit. Right about here-ish. Okay, And now let's adjust our inclination. There we go. That's nice. That's nice. I like it. I like it. Okay. I think we overshot. Yes, we did. We definitely overshot. So let's pull that back and get our inclination about right here. That'll be about right. And then we are going for vol, so we should probably pull it in a little bit. Can we get an encounter? We can get a lathe encounter. But looks like we cannot get a vol encounter. Yeah, unfortunate. Let's go ahead and go for here. This way we will be coming in the same direction and we don't have to reverse our directionality, which is always super awkward. And it's also a little bit more delta V efficient to come in this way as opposed to coming in this way. But it's super delta V efficient in terms of not having to reverse our direction. So let's go ahead and execute that. That will be in 49 days, which is super convenient. And like I said, I nailed that guess. It was a pure guess. But that works. I like this encounter a lot. I think that encounter is basically better than anything MechJeb would have given us. So there we have it. It'll be a relatively short burn. Actually, it'll be a pretty long burn. It would be a short burn if we had the delta V in this stage for our 1.84 thrust to weight. But because of our SLT in our nuclear stage, or rather our thrust to weight ratio, I don't know why I was talking about our surface level thrust to weight, but because of our thrust to weight ratio in our nuclear stage, it will be a relatively lengthy burn. But that's okay. It'll be about 3000 delta V. Not too bad. What are we doing right now? Oh, this is the start of the burn? I gotcha. So 10 more seconds here. 3, 2, 1, stage. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and time warp on up for this burn. Of course, this engine only has one tank here, one Rockomax Jumbo 64 fuel tank. Naturally, we have no oxidizer, since this is an atomic rocket motor. Super efficient to not have to carry all this oxidizer. The downside is only 60 kilonewtons of thrust, but I can live with that. So, vol, here we come. We're going to go ahead and circularize at this periapsis, probably, unless we can get an encounter straight out of the circularization. But I think I'll do this entirely manually. No MechJeb other than for node execution. I just feel like doing it manually for once. It's kind of fun sometimes. It's also kind of fun to just have MechJeb do it and get it over with if it's a really mundane thing, which, at this point, given the number of satellites we've put up in the Joule system so far, kind of mundane. We have one up over Tylo. We do have one over Lathe, right? We actually don't. Okay. That's fine. I know have one up over Bop. Correct? No, we have a rover on the surface for Bop. I'm going to have to take stock and see what we need in the Joule system before we consider it complete. Of course, that station is still going to happen. There is no doubt about that. But as of right now, our destination is Vol. And we will get here momentarily, but first I'm going to set our focus to Joule, because if our focus is at Vol when we're warping in here, because look at this, we're 3 years away from Joule. So if our focus is on Vol, it's just going to be whipping around when we're trying to warp in at 100,000 times speed. So that's going to be exciting. We're going to have a slight inclination change as well. My eyeballing didn't quite nail that. But, maybe we will, maybe we won't, actually. And let's take a quick look at this orbit. That is a heavily inclined orbit. Okay. It's doable, though. We'll just have to take a look at what direction we're coming in at. That's going to be the key. And then we'll have to adjust that in our transfer orbit. Yeah, that'll be fine. it'll be the inclination that's going to be interesting to get to. But I mean, realistically, yeah, that shouldn't be too bad. We would just burn at the ascending and descending nodes, come in relatively equatorial. We'll have plenty of delta V for it, so I'm really not concerned. Our actual orbit should be coming in pretty close. Oh my. Okay. Apparently, I changed focus and it broke it. Where is our actual orbit right now? Still pushing out. Okay. Gonna have to do this a bit more manually then. Okay, what do we got? Come on. Little closer. Little closer. Ah, why is it not stopping? Why can't I throttle down? I cannot throttle down. MechJeb, stop. Please stop. We need to go retrograde at this point. Okay, it was MechJeb. That was my fault. I should have stopped MechJeb, but we can still recover this. So I'm gonna go ahead and burn retrograde a little bit here. There we go. And we're just gonna need to pull it back a little bit and get ourselves our position here. I can't believe I didn't stop MechJeb. That's wasting some delta V. Oh well, we have plenty. 15 minutes more burn here. And of course, that was on 4x time acceleration, but let's just, let's keep an eye out on this. Okay. We are going the incorrect direction here, so I'm going to go ahead and do a very slow burn here. Flip our directionality and stop there. Excellent. Now our inclination is off. There is no doubt about that. However, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick circularization burn here. There we go. Something along the lines of that, although not exactly that. It's going to be more like that. Excellent. And we will execute that node. That will be in a while, though. Our inclination is definitely going to be off. But, yeah, this is what we're going to be doing. It'll be in the sphere of influence of Joule, and we'll be circularizing just outside the orbit of Vol. It'll be a few delta V, but we'll have plenty for maneuvering. Our thrust to weight will be much higher in the Joule system than it is over the Sun as well. So, well, that'll be, you know, about 3 years until we get here. So the real question is, of course, how are we going to go about achieving that inclination? Well, it'll be a couple steps. The first step will be making sure our transfer orbit gets us orbiting Vol in the correct direction. That is 100% step one. Well, of the transfer. Step one towards the transfer is going to be matching the inclination, because I want to come in pretty much perfectly equatorially. So once we get in here and get this circularized, I'm going to set Vol as the target. And we are going to, at the ascending, descending node, one or the other, we are going to burn and match planes. And like I said, I'm going to be doing this entirely without MechJeb for the maneuver planner, just because I feel like it. I don't feel like using MechJeb for that sort of thing is cheating beyond a certain point. Like, I feel like using MechJeb to do things that you can't do is cheating. But once you've established that you can do it and it's kind of routine, having it be automated through MechJeb is fine, in my opinion. So that's my opinion on MechJeb. And also, absolutely every maneuver in MechJeb, I'm A-okay with using MechJeb for the node execution. Because once it is put into the computer, The computer should be able to execute the node. It's just that the computer should not be able to determine how to do this until people figure out how the maneuver is done, if that makes any sense. So that's my opinion on MechJeb. Now, as for why I'm not using it in this particular mission, I just don't feel like it. We have done a bunch of missions putting satellites around moons of Jewel already, and I've proven I can do it, but I just feel like doing it manually sometimes. Sometimes I'm not feeling lazy. This is apparently one of those times. Those times are rare, though. So we've got another year and a half until we are actually here. We'll be coming in, cresting our apoapsis, actually, and then getting our encounter, which is fine. It would have been much more efficient if I hadn't have messed up the maneuver node, but it is what it is. We've got plenty of Delta V. I'm not concerned in the slightest. We can always get ourselves a second maneuver if for some reason we didn't have enough for a braking maneuver, but we'll have plenty. Our orbit's only going to be slightly bigger. It's not going to be much more Delta V beyond this 1400. Maybe 150 tops to do the plane change, and then 400 tops for the encounter, another 400 to brake, and then I don't even know how much for the inclination change. That'll be a lot, but not an insurmountable amount for sure. I wonder how that mining is going. I mean, we just warped 2 years, and it was going pretty quick. It's probably done. That asteroid's probably mined out. Or close to it. That'd be cool. Anyway, we need to go ahead and get on in here, and that'll be another 300 days. Where is our asteroid right now, anyway? Right now, our asteroid is not showing up, I think. That's the Sentinel. Oh, here's the Grabber Mark 1. Okay, yeah, there we go. So as far as pushing it goes, I don't know. The Grabber unit doesn't seem to be amazingly sturdy. It seems to wiggle around a lot. However, I think that will change significantly when the inertia of the asteroid is lowered. Because with all of that ore in the asteroid, it's incredibly heavy. All of the Delta V that we had was going to go towards like 200 meters per second or something like that. Something insane. So that's the reason why we're mining it out first. Just because it needs to happen. We have to lower the weight of that asteroid. I'm not too concerned about having it be, a renewable fuel resource that we'll refuel at all the time. I mean, we'll refuel the station, sure, but I think our next mission, assuming we don't have a good contract, is going to be to send the 3 engineers and the facility supporting at least 10 Kerbals to the... It's still called the Grabber Mark 1, but to the asteroid station. And then the next mission after that would be probably to have the asteroid be moved into orbit around Pop. Okay, so this is going to be a slightly lengthy 7-minute burn, but I'll go ahead and physics warp it. And we are currently here at the Jewel system also. Lathe looking like a Death Star dish. Always nice. Good job, Lathe. That's what I like to see. So I think we're not quite going to finish this mission in this episode, which is a bit unfortunate, but I think that's just the reality of the situation. If I hadn't have messed it up, we maybe could have finished it in this episode. But as it is, I think after this burn, I'm going to have to put a cut in. So, yeah, that's... Looking at the current time, it's 24.5 minutes. So I'm definitely going to be cutting right after this burn. And next episode, we are going to be matching planes with the target, inserting into vol, grabbing this contract and seeing what's next. Like I said, we're going to be continuing to work on our orbital station pending any further contracts that further our actual mission of landing on everything. So that'll be perfect. We've only got a few more seconds left in this burn, so I think I'm just gonna go ahead and... Ooh, that was an interesting encounter. That was an interesting encounter indeed. But anyway, I think I'm just gonna go right on ahead and say I will see you guys next time.